You know how the song goes. Let's just get this over with. Operation C, released in 1990 for the original Game Boy, courtesy of Ultra Games. So, basically, this is a unique Contra title for the portable handheld, molded in the style of the two NES entries. To break it down, the game takes its soundtrack from Contra and its level inspiration from Super C, but it does come with its own toys as well, such as homing marbles. Obviously, it's not up to the standards of those fine titles, but Operation C is still a respectable debut for the series on the old Game Boy. If nothing else, it fares a bit better than Konami's first Castlevania adventure on the handheld, which indicates that we're moving upwards at least. So if you've played Contra and or Super C on the NES, then you've played Operation C. Although you're playing through 5 relatively newish levels, the general gameplay is not all that different from what came before, whether it be the usual side-scrolling run-and-gun action or the 2 overhead levels similar in style to Super C, but made harder due to less real estate to maneuver in, as well as generally slower action that I'd imagine was deliberate to reduce blurring on the old Game Boy screen. Fortunately, a slower speed does not have an adverse effect on overall gameplay, which holds up rather well. As per tradition, you could get weapons via these pods you could shoot down, including the Super C style flamethrower, an upgradable spreader gun, and the cream of the crop, the homing gun. Unlike in the NES games, you have auto-fire functionality from the get-go, so no more bashing that B button to get a stream of bullets. You could hold it down like a machine gun and focus on aiming your shots. Some might scoff at this bit of convenience and that's their prerogative or whatever, but I'll take whatever keeps my digits in good condition and leave it at that. But yeah, Operation C is a fairly basic, fairly traditional 8-bit Contra adventure that pretty much follows the formula established by its NES brethren. And for what it's worth, it holds up quite nicely. The action may not be fast, but it's definitely furious, and the game doesn't completely fall apart when too much stuff is going on, which is nice. The only real drawback with Operation C is that it's strictly a single-player campaign, as Contra games are usually more enjoyable as a co-op experience. But hey, at least the Contra code works and gives you a nifty stage select. There's also another code that gives you 9 lives if you need the help, so that's something. Operation C doesn't look too shabby for the old Game Boy, taking the visual style of the NES games and reducing it to a smaller screen without much hassle. The sprites are a little lacking in finer details obviously, but they do look the parts and you can recognize what's what. The levels themselves look pretty damn slick, a fine effort that results in a great looking game even on the old OG Game Boy screens. Sound isn't too bad either. The soundtrack is mostly recycled tunes from the first Contra game, with only the second stage bearing an original track, and is an awesome track that makes me sad that they didn't do more original tunes on the platform. But anyway, the old tunes sound somewhat lesser quality here, but they're still pretty decent. Sound effects are more than adequate. It's alright, I guess. Overall, Operation C is a fine Contra adventure on the Game Boy. It might be a solo outing and a bit on the short side, but it looks the part, it sounds the part, and most importantly, it plays the part. It's included in the Contra Anniversary Collection that came out a few years ago, and honestly, even for the sake of curiosity, this is one worth checking out. Operation C on Game Boy. Big fun in small bites, or something to that extent.